the building. And how kind of funny, as some of the people that lost children in that bombing have been witness to, when they brought their kids to see them for the last time to the nursery there, that the bomb squad were around that building in full bomb squad gear an hour and a half before the bomb went off. And it was completely denied until the number of witnesses made denial completely uncredible. And they said, oh yeah, but it was a training exercise. And some brave journalists, and there are some journalists out there, real ones, working on the local television stations in Oklahoma, and I've seen the tapes. They established, first of all, that there was footage from the videos around the building, the business videos and the street videos, surveillance videos, that showed the Ryder truck being parked and showed not one man in it, a man who looked like McVeigh, but also a guy that became known as John Doe 2, and those tapes have never been made public. First of all, the FBI said we can't under national security. Then they said, we can't release them because it will affect McVeigh's trial. Now, if it only showed McVeigh, you play them at the trial, game, set and match, okay, see you in the bar. They didn't. And now they're saying they can't ever release them. Why? If it just shows the story they're asking us to believe. The other thing is that in the official story, McVeigh came with a guy and sussed out the building because he wanted, the official story goes, to attack the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco and Firearms in America that was involved with the Waco slaughter a few years before, 93, wasn't it? And so he wanted to attack them on the anniversary, and that was the official story. Well, why did he park the Ryder truck about as far from their office in that building as you can get when he could have parked it closer? If he had been sussing the building out, how come that morning he drives the Ryder truck into a garage, what they call in America a gas station, petrol station, and he asks the guy the way to the Murrah building, so connecting himself, the Ryder truck and the Murrah building in one sentence? Why? When he's just blown 168 people away, does he say it's a fair cop gov, even though he's armed, when he's stopped for a driving offence and arrested? Why was he arrested? For the same reason that for no reason Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested or attempted to be arrested in the theatre that he ran to after he was supposed to have killed Kennedy but didn't. This led to a massive increase in surveillance and control of the people. Within 24 hours of this, Bill Clinton was calling for an easing of restrictions on the military's involvement in domestic law enforcement, all of which has been advanced as a result of 9/11. And interestingly, you could easily find out what caused that explosion in the Murrah building. All you have to do is get independent experts to analyze the rubble, and they'll tell you basically where the bombs are and what they were. Instead of that, that rubble was taken away by a company called Controlled Demolition Group, and it was put under armed guard behind a fence, guarded by an organization called Wackenhut, which is run by CIA and FBI operatives, and Wackenhut is absolutely there with the Bush family. And as a result of that, independent experts were not able to establish what caused it. Why? Because the official stories are nonsense. And this is something I've found over the years as little kind of telltale signs. When showing us something or letting us hear something would support the official story, we see and hear it. When something, seeing or hearing something would destroy the official story, we're not allowed to see and hear it. Big red flag that in the way that they operate. Therefore, Tony, can we see this intelligence report about the weapons of mass destruction? Oh, no. Why, of course we can't. Now, to understand 9/11 is to understand the background to the Bush family. I mean, they're not just George W. Bush. They go back a long way in this manipulation. This guy is called Prescott Bush. He was an executive of a company run by a guy called E. Edward Harriman, Prescott Bush, not just highlighted in my books, but by others, and there's a guy at the Holocaust Museum in Florida called John Loftus who's gone public on this also. The Harriman organization had a company called the Union Banking Corporation, the UBC, which was basically run by Prescott Bush, the present president's grandfather. And in the run-up to the Second World War, this company interfaced with the network of a banking and steel magnate called Fritz Thyssen in Europe. They basically locked into the UBC, both of them. And so through the UBC, vast amounts of money was funneled out of America from the Illuminati families like the Harrimans and the Bushes and the Rockefellers into the coffers of the German Nazi Party to be used to do what they did. Interestingly, how many people realize that when you talk about race purity and all this stuff with Hitler, Hitler's race purity expert was called Ernst Rudin. He occupied the whole floor of a university doing his racial purity insanity. That was paid for by the Rockefeller family in America. There are no us and them in the Illuminati. They just do whatever's necessary to bring something about. He was also involved in two other companies that were shut down when the war started under the Trading with the Enemy Act because they were Nazi companies. And there's the next two generations of that family. Now, to understand some of the background to the 911 and what's followed, we need to understand something called the Carlyle Group. The Carlyle Group chairman is Frank Carlucci, former number 2 at the CIA, thrown out of 2 African countries for being involved in assassination attempts, and a man who you wouldn't trust to tell you the time. Carlucci is, like I say, chairman of the Carlyle Group, which is a company that is very big in armaments. Many other things too, but very, very big in armaments. So every time there's a flipping war, the Carlyle Group, which America's involved in, the Carlyle Group make enormous amounts of money, even on that level of money. He, Father George Bush, is a major player in the Carlyle Group, as is James Baker, who was Secretary of State to Father George during the first Gulf War in 1991. These people and their company had very close associations with the Bin Laden family, who were investors in the Carlyle Group until it was exposed, and then apparently withdrew their money after 9/11 because of the bad publicity. Frank Carlucci, number 2 at the CIA, head of the Carlyle Group, was described as my mentor by Colin Powell, who is the Secretary of State. I wonder if the Carlyle Group has any influence at the Secretary of State's Department. I wonder. And here we have Frank Carlucci again. He was a roommate at Yale, home of the Skull and Bones Society, of this guy, the Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, and James Baker was a classmate of Rumsfeld at Yale. Again, the same network together behind the scenes orchestrating what the public do not see. George Bush the father has made excursions, denied but now having to be accepted, to the Bin Laden family at Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The Bin Laden family run this massive construction company in the Middle East, and he is an advisor financially to the royal family of Saudi Arabia on behalf of the Carlyle Group. Now, this guy's first oil company, George W. Bush, was a Busto Oil, very appropriately named a Busto Energy, because everything this guy touched went to Busto. But he happened to always come out of it okay, and another company started while the shareholders lost the money. Well, one of the investors in our Busto Energy was Salem bin Laden, head of the Bin Laden construction family, who died in a aircraft crash in Texas. It's amazing you get close to the Bush family, flying becomes more dangerous. And as I say, the Bin Laden family also were investors in the Carlyle Group right up to and across 9/11. And this is how ludicrous it gets. Do you remember when that bomb went off and destroyed that military quarters for the US in Saudi Arabia called the Khobar Towers? And the State Department in America blamed the bomb on Osama bin Laden. Who got the contract to rebuild it? Bin Laden Construction. You couldn't make it up. It's all in the bloody family, these people. Have you noticed a little common theme building up here? We've got to go in there to get bin Laden. He's the one person they don't get. They get little children and they blow them apart, but not bin Laden. Hey, we've got to go in there and get Saddam Hussein. They blow up our little children. And Saddam, oh, he's got away. Anyway, there's so many Saddam Husseins, you wouldn't know if you got the right one anyway. Well, check it out, mate, like anyone else would do. Now, in Oklahoma, and I've seen the tapes, they established, first of all, that there was footage from the videos around the building, the business videos and the street videos, surveillance videos, that showed the Ryder truck being parked and showed not one man in it, a man who looked like McVeigh, but also a guy that... And now they're saying they can't ever release them. Why? If it just shows the story they're asking us to believe. The other thing is that in the official story, McVeigh came with a guy and sussed out the building because he wanted, the official story goes, to attack the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco and Firearms in America. The bomb went off. And it was completely denied until the number of witnesses made denial completely uncredible. And they said, oh yeah, but it was a training exercise. And some brave journalists, and there are some journalists out there, real ones, working on the local television stations that became known as John Doe 2, and those tapes have never been made public. First of all, the FBI said we can't under national security. Then they said, we can't release them because it will affect McVeigh's trial. Now, if it only showed McVeigh, you play them at the trial, game, set and match, okay, see you in the bar. They didn't. The building. And how kind of funny, as some of the people that lost children in that bombing have been witness to, when they brought their kids to see them for the last time to the nursery there, that the bomb squad were around that building in full bomb squad gear an hour and a half before the